It's time for Doug Shaw! It's time for Doug Shaw! Doug time! Hey, this is Doug
And Monster Puppet.
and we are here to talk about when and how to tell a joke. So I think if we're going to do this, we should start by telling a joke. You want to tell it?
No, you go ahead and tell it.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so two guys are sitting on a park bench. Okay, they're very old. And one guy goes to the other and he goes, "You know, it was my birthday 2 days ago." The second guy goes, "Oh, I can tell how old you are." Second goes, "No, you can't." He goes, "Yeah, I can tell how old you are. Stand up." So the guy stands up and then he goes, "Okay, now turn around in a circle." So the guy turns around in a circle. He goes, "Now drop your pants and put your thumb up your ass." So the first guy does this, and the second guy goes, "You're 84 years old." He's like, "How did you know?" And he goes, "You told me yesterday." What's really funny is I told that joke to my friend Stuart, and he laughed kind of, and I said, "What do you laugh kind of? It was a great joke." He goes, "Yeah, I know, but you told me that joke last week." I didn't remember. Okay, all right. So now that we've told you a joke, let's talk about our first item is when to tell a joke.
The answer is never.
Well, that's kind of harsh. Like, what about at a party?
It's not 1955. It's not like people have Playboy's party jokes.
I hate to agree with Monster Puppet on this one, but he is right. Party jokes are out, okay? It's not so. I am going to tell you about when to tell a joke,
Never.
but when you're in a group of people and people are talking and you say, "Hey, you guys, I got a joke," what you're really doing is saying to everybody, "Shut up with this conversation you're invested in and pay attention to me." Okay, that puts you as a bore. Now, if you do this and people look at you and smile and laugh at your joke, be aware they're just being kind to you. They're thinking you're a jerk.
Harsh. True, but harsh.
Yeah. So don't be the conversation killer.
So this is a video about how to tell a joke, and our first lesson is don't tell one.
Well, unlike Monster Puppet, I'm going to say you can, but depends on the circumstances. For example, if you're about to give any sort of formal presentation, or you're emceeing an event or something like that, it's kind of understood you're going to open with a joke to get the mood up. The second thing is in a situation where other people are telling jokes. Never be the first one. Just never be the first one. But if somebody tells a joke and then someone else tells a joke, then you go ahead and tell yours. Wait until the laughter's died down. You don't want to come in on someone else's laughter.
Because that's kind of jerky.
Yeah. But now here's the other time, and here's really when it's crucial to be able to tell a good joke. If you're in a situation where it's getting heated, you can diffuse tension if you tell a joke. Now, be aware you're still being a bore. You're taking the focus on you, but you're doing it heroically for the team. So if we're talking about, for example, elderly politicians, and I say, "You know, I'm voting for Joe Biden."
And I'm voting for Donald Trump. Why are you voting for Biden?
Well, because, right, it starts to look like it's going to get into this heated thing. Then you say, "Hey, you guys, speaking of old people, I got this joke. There's these two old people sitting at a bench, right? Now, what you've done is you've taken that anger and now you've grabbed the attention on you. So even if we think you're a bore for doing it, deep down, we're happy that you sacrificed and did that." Okay, so that's when. Now let's talk about how to tell a joke.
A joke. Say, Doug,
Yes, Monster Puppet?
what are the parts of a joke?
Okay, well, thank you for asking.
Yeah, see? That was me taking one for the team.
Okay, so what are the parts of a joke? Setup, punchline, tag. Setup, that's the stuff that you need in order to be able to tell this joke, the information the audience needs, the build-up. Punchline, that's the funny part. That's when they laugh. Tag is everything you say after the punchline to get even more laughs. So in my joke, the setup was The two old men are on the bench, and the second guy tells the first guy to do increasingly weird things. The punchline is, you told me yesterday. And then the tag was when I told you that story about me and Stuart and how I'd forgotten that I'd already told him the joke, and I told it him a second. That was a tag. It was after the joke, but I still hoped you'd laugh.
I don't think they did. Okay. It wasn't that funny, was it, Kate? You can tell me. Tell Monster Puppet.
Okay, fine. All right. So if you tell a joke like to a professional comedian, there's three pieces of advice they may give. Okay, so these are the three things that people who kind of coach joke telling will tell you. One is tighten it up. Tighten it up means the setup is too long. The longer the setup, the better the punchline has to be worth it. Have you ever sat through a joke told by a 5-year-old or a drunk adult who the setup takes forever, and then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this. He said, green ping pong balls. Now he's in 8th grade. And he said, what do you want? Right? And blah, blah, blah. And then the punchline isn't good. You feel cheated, right? That's like, no. If you're going to so the shorter the setup, the less punchy the punchline has to be. Okay? So that's kind of tightening it up. Now you can go too tight. So I'm going to tell you that joke again. These two old guys are sitting on a park bench, and one says, it was my birthday yesterday. And the second goes, you're 84. How'd you know? You told me yesterday. Okay. That's still funny. It's not as funny as the first one because that setup didn't give you enough build up to the actual punchline. Usually people err in the other direction and your setups are too long when meandering. So tighten it up. Your setup should be, what do you need before the punchline is funny? The second advice you're going to get is punch it up, which means your punchline isn't as good as it could be. So if I ended with, I'm 84 years old. I'm 84 years old. How did you know? Well, because you look 84. No, that's not as funny, right? So punch it up means your punchline should be better. And then the third thing is the tag. If the tag isn't getting laughs, the best thing to do there is cut it. It's not necessary. So you only go for the tag if you know the tag is going to get a good laugh. You could argue successfully that in the story I just told, I shouldn't have told you the stuff about Stuart. It wasn't good enough to be in there. But I did want to demonstrate a tag. So those are the parts of a joke and what you can do to make your joke better. Now, how to deliver it. One rule, the first rule, the most important rule, memorize the punchline. You don't have to memorize the joke word for word. And if it sounds over-rehearsed, it's not even going to be that funny. So be prepared to be flexible with the setup, but the punchline, know it. I couldn't tell you that joke until I knew in my heart of hearts, in my soul, you're 84 years old. How did you know? You told me yesterday. I had to practice that. That I needed to get right. Because if I blow that, then your whole time with the setup is wasted. But that's only one line. So memorize your punchline and then just know the joke. What do I need to get across before the punchline happens? And that one you don't have to be as strict. Okay? That's the most important thing. The second thing is know your audience. So that joke I just told would go over really big at somebody's birthday party, especially my age. Okay, so I'm in my 50s. I'm already thinking about getting older. So if it's at my birthday and somebody told me that joke, hey, that's a pretty appropriate joke, right? That would be really a bad joke to tell at the funeral of somebody who has Alzheimer's, right? So my mom died of dementia. And if I stood up at her funeral and said, hey, that reminds me of a joke. There are these two old guys, right? It would be important. Now, in my family, actually, it probably would have been appropriate, but it would be dangerous, right? You don't want to do that. So you got to think about who's listening to your joke and what they find funny.
And again, don't tell jokes.
Well, that's true because
sometimes there are people just not into jokes. Then don't tell them.
Right. So you got to know if your audience is into hearing a joke, and if so, kind of what. All right. And we can go into big details, but I think you got it. What you want to do now is just you don't need to tell 100 jokes
because you shouldn't even be telling one.
So yeah, you don't need to know 100. Just know a couple of good ones and practice them with people you care about. And just say, hey, how's this? And then you tell the joke a couple of times and then it's yours. And I hope you have happy, happy joke telling. For more information, there's an entire internet.